Okay.
Hi, this is Rondell, Realtor.com. It's approximately Halloween 2010, first week in November. We're going to talk a little bit about the Reno Tahoe market, mostly about the Reno market. I can give you some observations on the Tahoe market as well. So what we've got here is I've got a little board here, kind of give an example. We've also done this on PowerPoint with kind of hour-and-a-half long presentations and stuff, or at least my mentor Ken Amundsen has it. I'm going to give you kind of in a nutshell what we have going on here in Reno, Nevada. Typically in Reno, we ran, depending on how you slice the numbers, we ran about a 3 to 7% appreciation forever, it seemed like. I mean, these guys can go all the way back to the 60s. Very consistent upward trending line. Along comes the boom, approximately 2004 to about 2008, and it did something like this. And then, of course, we just kept cascading all the way down here. And, of course, at here, everybody kept thinking that these price points were the bottom, and they never were. Sellers would come in and they go, well, we'll lower my price to this, and they wouldn't be able to lower it fast enough, and all of a sudden the next seller lowered it there, and then this guy would try to come down to there. So they were kind of playing catch-up game with the market, or what they call chasing the market down, and a lot of these ended up in foreclosures. Nobody knew it was going to drop this abrupt. And by the way, this big sharp spike here, actually, I remember in 1 year, many of my homes doubling. In fact, I used to go for really long escrows, 120-day escrows. And one time, the home actually doubled in value in escrow. So incredible times here in Reno. And now we're kind of feeling the effects of this steep drop. So we kind of came down, and when it hit this medium price range, the argument, not the argument, but the valid point was that we'd retrace back to a median average, and therefore we should start trending back up. But it actually broke through the median average considerably. But then what happened was it kind of came up and did this bounce along the bottom thing. But on the downward side, mostly on the downward side along here, now what we're seeing is kind of a zigging and zagging, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up. So basically a relatively flat, stable market. So, you know, the question always comes, we're waiting for the bottom. How do I time the bottom? You won't know the bottom till it's over. I mean, this is a pretty good example of the big drop is behind us. So to sit around here and waiting around for another 5-10%, I think is going to be a waste of time and, frankly, a gamble. So if I used a $200,000 house, for example, $200K, divided by 2, because we've corrected a solid 50% in Reno, Nevada, means it's corrected down to 100,000. I'm using simple math, but ironically, this is about what you can get a decent 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage in an area where there's parks and shopping nearby, and not too far out. So we corrected 50%, $100,000. Now everybody's going, waiting for the bottom. So what? You're waiting to maybe save another 5-10%? Even if you save 10% and you bought this house for $90,000, if the interest rates went up from 4 1/4 to, let's say, 4 3/4, or even 4 1/2, this thing becomes basically a wash at that point. Right now, you can get yourself some nice loans. They're hovering about 4 to 4 1/2. Depends on the day. You really want to gamble on this extra 10% when you've already corrected 50%. So on a percentage-wise basis, it's not worth waiting around. And if the interest rates tick-tock up at all, your payment is going to be the same on this $100,000 house at 4 1/4% than this $90,000 house if you wait to correct 10% and if it jumps to 4 3/4. So this whole thing becomes a wash after a while. So I guess what I'm saying now is get off the fence. There's really no excuse to wait around any longer in Reno. There's just incredible deals out there right now. In 2004, I came out with my now famous blog called Drunken Sailors and gypsies, where I was saying people were buying like drunken sailors, and the equity gypsies were flipping properties every 2 years, mom and pop. And that blog still to this day gets thousands of hits because I called the top. And I really hadn't had strong buy signals on a lot of Reno until recently. So I've got some of the areas in Reno are hitting pretty strong on my buy radar right now. And that's not just me speaking as a realtor, that's me speaking as an investor. What else can we talk about? The Tahoe trucking market and income and commercial, for that matter, typically run 1 to 3 years behind the broad market. So if you were to look at an incline graph here, and let's say these were 1 year increments here, in a Tahoe or trucking graph in general, it would have taken about 1 to maybe a year and a half, 2 years for this to spike up, okay? Because it takes a while for people to harvest their equity here. So the second home market, income and commercial, lag the broad market in general 1 to maybe 2 or 3 years. Now you're seeing the same thing on the downside. So let's say we had this sharp correction, a couple years ago here in Reno. Well, now what's happening is if we slice this down by years, and if this was 2010 or something out here, it's going to take a little longer for the second home market to correct. So what you're seeing right now in the second home market, income commercial, because remember, people that hold these type of real estate assets have holding power, i.e. money. 401ks, IRAs, the Mercedes, the Hummer, the Beamer in the garage, those type of folks. And now they feel just overwhelmed. Many of them have lost their jobs. They've maybe lost some homes in foreclosures. They've drained their 401ks. They've drained their IRA. So now even people with money are starting to throw in the towel, is what we're seeing. And it's starting to affect the second homes. So the second home market, income commercial, is just now starting to feel the effects of this. We're seeing a lot of stuff falling out of escrow up there, short sales. A lot of foreclosures are increasing in these type of markets as well. The foreclosures in Reno in general are relatively stable. They're not increasing or decreasing. Well, I think that's about it. I don't want to piss anybody off here, so I'm going to sign off for now. RonBellRealtor.com, 2010 fall. Have a good day.